So you know what a GUI is, or a graphical user interface. When you
Hit
use
me.
your phone,
Go for it.
When you use your phone, there's buttons. Back in the 1970s, computers didn't have buttons. You had to type all of these commands, and you had to memorize the commands. Otherwise, you couldn't use the computer. What the graphical user interface gave you was the ability to look at a screen, see a button, and get a sense of what you could do. It was a huge advancement. It made it much easier to use a computer. Language user interfaces are going to revolutionize using computers because now you just speak to it. You don't have to know what it can do. You talk to it. And you know how these models can translate from English to Spanish or to French or whatever? Well, they can translate your voice into actions, into button pushes, into this sort of thing. They're very good at being a language user interface. If you do something like that, so think of customer service. Customer service, it's a language user interface to the business. If you're doing programming, it's a language user interface to telling the computer what to do. Perfect fit. But now you start asking it to be intelligent, and it's not quite there yet, right? If you ask it to invent something, it can't do that. Why can't it do that? Well, what the LLMs do is they give you the most probable next token, which is the syllable of the LLM. The most probable is the most obvious. And if it's the most obvious, it's not going to be good writing. It's not going to be good science. It's not going to invent something for you. It's not going to invent a drug that isn't known. That's what we're working on next.
That's next.
That's next.
Invention is next.
But actually, there's some other steps too. The next thing you're going to see is you're going to see agentic. So the reason agentic doesn't work so well yet, but by the end of the year it may, is you have to get the model good enough where it can fix its own mistakes, recognize and fix its own mistakes. I write some code, I get an error, how do I fix it? It's a little bit like the difference between a ballistic missile or guided missile. Ballistic missile, you have to get it right from the beginning to be able to get to your target, right? When you ask a query and you have to get an exact answer, that's like a ballistic missile, no corrections. Whereas when you're guided, it's sort of like it can see the error, it can fix it, and it can start correcting as it's writing the code, right? And then we're going to start seeing hallucinations reduce over time. That's next. It's getting better. And none of these are binary. It's not like one day it'll stop hallucinating, or I prefer to say make errors as opposed to hallucinate.
Yeah.
It makes it
Hallucinations
clear.
just sound better.
But it doesn't clearly articulate the problem.
Sure.
The problem is LLMs make mistakes. And they're always going to make mistakes, but they're going to make fewer and fewer. At some point, they will make so few mistakes, you can use it in medicine, you can use it in law, but you can't now, right? That's going to get better. So we're just going to see them getting better and better. And I think over the next 5 years, you'll see hallucinations go down, you'll see agentic, you'll see inventiveness, and then lastly, you'll see alignment enough where the models will be able to accept coming onto a podcast.
So in our lifetime.
Very well within our lifetime. But you need all those steps before you get to AGI. AGI is not around the corner.